first panel on the day on the topic, Human versus Artificial Intelligence in the Workplace. In the face of increasing AI adoption, this session will explore what is the future of human intelligence in the workplace and how can organizations strike a balance between leveraging technology and valuing human skills. May I now invite the speakers for the panel, and I request you all to join me on stage as I call out your names. Ms. Hina Dhamija, Executive Vice President and Head of Human Resources at Religare Broking. Ms. Mita Brahma, HR Head, NIIT Limited. Mr. Sridhar Bharadwaj, Vice President, Human Resources and Administration at JB Pharma. And Mr. Sushil Baveja, CHRO, Jindal Stainless. Mr. Yashvendra Singh, Editor, FEB2B, Financial Express Digital.
Thank you, panelists, for sparing time for this discussion. So artificial intelligence today is reshaping jobs, workflows in organizations across verticals. The impact of this technology is so disruptive that, according to some studies, so it could run into trillions of dollars, if not more. However, the key challenge for organizations is to manage this technology responsibly. In this panel discussion, we are going to come up with approaches, ways and means by which HR leaders can balance artificial intelligence, this technology on one hand, balancing it with human skills on the other. So thank you so much. I mean, we have a very august panel here, 4 senior HR leaders from 4 different verticals, and it's going to be a great discussion, I'm sure. I'll start with you, sir. As artificial intelligence percolates in enterprises, how do you feel human skills such as creativity, reasoning, being relevant in today's times? Do you feel they are still relevant in organizations, even as artificial intelligence adoption increases?
Well, the softer elements of, creativity, or for that matter, critical thinking, they have their own place in the larger ecosystem. So let's understand, artificial intelligence is artificial actually, so it's very different from what human intelligence is all about. So, so while the purpose of applying, artificial intelligence at the workplace is to drive efficiency and productivity, to get the necessary insights and all, but when it comes to, the application of those insights at the workplace, you need a certain human intelligence, you need that wisdom to actually, make that thing applicable. And that's where, all these softer elements actually come into play. And these are the elements which drive the larger, cultural ecosystem of the organization. Artificial intelligence is just as one of those enabling mechanisms. It doesn't drive the culture so much, but what really drives the larger culture of the organization are those softer elements of empathy, of concern, of care. And that is something which is most important in today's organization.
Sure. Sir, do you echo these sentiments? I mean, do you also feel that human values, skills bring that softer element in an organization, and they're very critical?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for having us here. See, we are talking of human being first, right? From the time a child is born till the time he is alive, till the time he dies, we are talking of the basic intelligence, his emotions, whether it's a child or it's an adult. Now, what does an artificial intelligence does is more about at a workplace is how can I crunch the data, how it will help me to make a decision faster, how will it help me to give me some trends analysis, which perhaps I would need a lot of people to do it. But at the end of the day, I need my manager to look at the data and make a decision. So if I just give a different analogy, just if I had to give let me give a sports analogy. Why do we always talk of corporate? I was thinking if I was looking at the T20 World Cup which Dhoni won, in today's data, they would have given an entire skill set of who's the bowler, what is ability to take the last wicket and last over, so on and so forth. Yet, it was Dhoni's intuition to give it to the Joginder Singh, right? To have the last over and to make his decision have a conviction that this is the guy who's going to give me that World Cup victory. So our creativity, our intuitions, everything which as a human being has will always override. We call it artificial intelligence. I don't know why it's called artificial. I would say, can it be additional intelligence? Can it amplify my intelligence? Okay, so if I use it as an aid or an enabler, I'll become a better manager or leader.
Ma'am, coming to you, ma'am, how do you think an HR leader can balance artificial intelligence on one hand and human skills on the other? And can you give me an example where probably a human skill would have trumped artificial intelligence in a real world scenario?
Absolutely. Firstly, I want to say about the topic, it's no longer even human versus artificial, it is human plus artificial intelligence. So the challenge in front of us is this augmentation, not substitution. So how do we in fact use this enormous battery of tools in front of us and just do better? And I want to give one example like you sir gave from the world of cricket or anything. The first time you use any mechanical equipment, I mean, you realize that your physical strength has got amplified so many times. It is just that now with the human brain. I have this huge executive assistant and now my decision making is that much better. So because you said to give an example where the human thing trumps, and because I'm saying that it only augments the processes, let me just pick examples of the usual HR people processes. For example, you're doing recruitment. Now I have so many AI-driven tools for sorting out resumes, for doing assessment. But then the last most important part of the fit to the culture, to the role, to the team, that has to be done by the human. So that judgment, based on all that analysis, is done by the human. One more example, similarly, from learning and development. So the artificial intelligence will generate huge amount of content and even personalized content. But then the mentoring and coaching and making learning happen, that is up to the human. So that's the point I want to make, that it is human plus AI augmented with all that power now in front of us.
Do you feel it's reinvention and not replacement when it comes to AI within organizations?
So I completely agree, the traditional example, what Dr. Bharma shared, that is a classic example. So anything, AI is helping us to perform, but with the data driven from AI, it is important that, humans should evaluate and use it wisely, how dots need to be connected and how we need to implement and what is there for me. Because AI will produce and generate us a generic data. What will fit in to the situation I am in? AI will never able to evaluate what is the urgency, what is the situation, what is the example like culture, what will be the fitment, what are my long-term plans, and so on. So AI always need to be supplemented. AI is not about it is about replacing the humans. It is about augmenting the humans. So as rightly said, it should be AI plus human.
Sure. Coming back to you, sir, when we say, humans plus machines, so, with this kind of an arrangement, new kinds of jobs and, profiles are emerging, which were never there earlier. According to you, what kind of new jobs or profiles, functions would emerge because of this collaboration between humans and machines going forward?
Sure. So before I answer your question, I just want to build on what Sridhar just mentioned a little while back, that why is artificial intelligence even called artificial? I was just sitting at the back and I just saw breaking news coming in. Mr. Trump has announced that he's going to rename artificial intelligence. So you will see that happening very soon. So, so going forward, as far as the jobs are concerned, so you will find jobs which are going to be focused on helping employees, train machines. First of all, that is something which is very fundamental in terms of leveraging artificial intelligence. If you leave artificial intelligence just to the way we are utilizing it today, I think that is not going to work. But most importantly, what we see going forward is that you will see a lot of roles or a lot of jobs being actually created, which will actually help humans train, the bots that you have. Because ultimately, at the center of artificial intelligence lies, machine learning. It all depends on how you train the bot. And depends on what kind of a conditioning that you do of the bots that you get the kind of responses and over which you need to have a human oversight. So clearly one role that I see is that of, more and more, individuals getting trained. In fact, the entire organization that is utilizing artificial intelligence, you will see a lot of awareness getting built in terms of how do you use and how do you leverage, artificial intelligence. So that it is able to give you the kind of responses that you want. I think that is something which is going to be fundamentally happening going forward.
Sir.
I think in the coming days, a lot of us will be using AI and we will be getting enabled by AI. See, today, no one will recruit a person who comes in and says, I don't know computers. Gone are the days, when I was small, I used to see typewriters, typists, stenographers. They don't exist anymore. So the jobs will change. It's not that there'll be a reduction of jobs, people are getting paranoid. The same skill set of people will go to a different set. Now you look at the millenniums, you look at the Gen Z which are coming in. They're so tech savvy. So what will happen today, I feel, is in schools, maybe they'll be talking more of AI. Anyway, children are doing more of their homework using ChatGPT, right? So people are using AI. So finally, we'll have a workforce which are very well versed with AI. And AI will become a base like today what its computer is. And what will happen at cutting edge is how well you'll use AI for a better decision making and what competitive edge you will give to an organization because you have the skill set and more better you are. And in fact, today everybody is talking of prompting, learning prompts. So these are the new skill sets which will come in. People will be, and there's something which everybody who's smart, basic intelligent enough will be able to learn this and it will keep evolving as we go on. So the crunch time to learn and unlearn will be very high. So that's where the future would be at the workplace, a younger generation. The challenge I feel is more with the older generation. They will have a much more tougher time. If they do not adopt, they will become a dinosaur.
Sure. Yeah, ma'am, because when computers were introduced, there were a lot of apprehension that, it'll eat up lots of jobs. But then new job categories got created. Likewise, I think with artificial intelligence also, there'll be new kind of jobs that will emerge. Your take on this, ma'am?
Totally agree. And the examples that you gave also, when computers first came in fact, and I'm from NIIT, and NIIT's mission was bringing people and computers together. Because there were people who were afraid to even put on that computer and what it entailed and what if I do something wrong. And then of course with the world of internet and so much exploded. I think we are at a disruptive place like that right now. So yes, jobs will totally change. It will enable us to do much more, but any disruption is accompanied by some people who can't change losing jobs, and therefore the quote I can think of, one of the, I think, HBR articles had this, that technology does not replace jobs, but people who use, Gen AI and all forms of AI more effectively will replace people who are not able to do so. So that is the difference, and therefore all of us must brace for this disruption. The learnability, resilience, those things need to be high. And yes, some people will not make it, they will go on to alternate jobs. That's what I think.
Because, I've heard that even some IT companies for software development are today preferring people who are good in giving prompts.
Yes.
Because, you've got low code, no code kind of platforms that can help you in developing software. You actually don't need coders, but you need people who can give the right prompt.
Absolutely.
To the
simple
platform.
algorithm-driven things, some of it is getting, automated, but the more complex tasks, that will not go away.
Sure, ma'am. Ma'am.
So just to build on, what has been shared, I second on this. Basically, AI helps us, to work on the repetitive tasks. It is just the preliminary work what they help us. With this repetitive task, the AI has taken a place of a human, but the role of human has enhanced. How? It is more towards the strategy and innovation. Still, we say that the place AI has taken is to think on, to write a paragraph, as Dr. Bala was sharing, to draft a policy, and so on. I agree. But wherever the human touch is required, where the decision making is required, still the human will remain in place.
Moving on, sir, as organizations implement AI increasingly, do you feel, I mean, I don't feel that, upskilling of human resources is going to happen automatically. If you deploy artificial intelligence, it will probably help you in efficiency, productivity, but you need to invest in upskilling your resources. Do you think enterprises, organizations are investing that much in upskilling their resources, or they are just implementing AI for faster automation?
That's a brilliant question. I would say that most of the organizations today are right now, in that urgency of trying to bring in greater amount of technology, greater amount of, automation for that extent. But what is really required is that, so you can bring in technology, you can bring in a lot of implementation there, but the real success lies in terms of adoption of the technology. The ultimate objective is to drive human experiences. The ultimate objective is to drive, better efficiency at the workplace. That can happen only if you are able to drive better adoption. So when I say adoption, it is all about nothing but, you have to be very precise in articulating the value proposition of anything that you introduce. So going forward, you will see more of agentic AI happening. But the fact of the matter is that if you're not able to articulate precisely the value proposition of the AI tools or the technology for that matter, the acceptance for that matter of that particular tool or technology will always be a challenge. There is a huge amount of change management also involved in this. So I agree, there has to be a proper conditioning happening before you roll out any technology in the organization. You have to be training people, you have to have a greater buy-in of the leaders, you have to train your HR, and you have to train your larger teams so that they are able to appreciate technology in a much better way. I mean, I'll give you an example. In our organization, when we rolled out let's say Darwin Box some time back, so we did a careful application of it. We actually invested a lot in terms of driving its adoption. We conducted road shows, across factories, locations, units, letting people know the value behind the modules. Even when we were actually rolling out, the chatbots, the policy chatbots, we first did a pilot actually. So through pilots, you are able to taste the success of the particular tool, and you're also able to get acceptance of people when they see that there is a lot of value. And progressively, you see more and more people, getting building that, that acceptance of that particular tool or technology there. So there has to be, I think, the pace at which we are training our people, our HR folks, the pace at which we're building awareness, I think that has to be matching the speed at which we take decisions about bringing technology or implementing AI for that matter.
Great. Moving on to you, sir. Also, sir, when we talk about change management, should it be top-down or should it be bottoms-up in an organization? Should it come from the top management, leadership, change management, or can it come bottoms, up in an organization? Which approach do you think works better?
Yeah, traditionally speaking, everybody says the change should come from the top, right? But in today's era, where we are talking of the millenniums coming in, the new generation which is coming in, I think they are the ones who adopt technology with respect to technology, AI, whatever you, let's use the larger word technology. They are much more faster, they are much more adaptable. They will push you. They will push the top and say that if you do not do, or as a company, you do not invest in this technique, tools, whatever platforms, why should I work with you? I'd rather go and work with somebody else which is much more tech savvy. Second, if I do not work in a place which is using the latest technology, I become obsolete. So, in my view, the generation which is going to come, or the younger generation, will force the people at the top to change. And that's what it would be, in my view.
Ma'am.
So a bit of, all the parts, but little different also, which I want to say is that there are different perspectives at the top leadership, middle and junior, what I see. So we did this right from the top where the senior leaders and even board members all got themselves trained, the scope was drawn up, and they said, without that, we can't drive it for the other layers. And the idea was that it won't stop at adoption. How are people actually doing their work differently? How are we seen differently to customers and clients? And how are we doing differently on our products and services? So we will not stop at adoption. So that strategic thinking happened from the top. From the middle, the perspective was a little different. They were worried, like you talked about the speed of adoption in the junior layer. And I think those security issues all the organizations are facing, that what data is going out if you use one of those public, portals. And so we built our own internal sort of version of ChatGPT with those guardrails. So you use organizational documents, organizational information, a bit like Dr. Balasubramanian spoke about the government, and they're looking at other government policies, etc. So those are the nuances. We are in the middle of that journey, I think, all of us. Though the organizations which succeed will be because they are able to use in all parts of their activity, not just as Gen AI tools adoption, but also if they can bring it as a part of their processes, how they're seen to customers, and creating value in the marketplace. So that's what's happening.
Ma'am, how is it in your organization? I mean, is upskilling of your employees keeping pace with the deployment of technology? Are they matching steps?
I agree to and add on what Sir shared. Gone are the days when we say any change is required from top down, especially in the era of technology. What we are actually practicing in our organization is bottoms up, that in the era of technology, if some change is coming, it is at the ground level that these are the updates, these are the latest technology, and this we need to get updated with. Otherwise, we are no longer in the competition. So that approach we at our organization are practicing.
Coming back to you, sir, there is this issue of trust with respect to artificial intelligence. Employees generally take up new technologies when they feel it works best for them, in their interest, it is fair. What kind of guardrails should there be in artificial intelligence so that people trust it, which will actually fuel adoption?
This is something which I mentioned earlier. It all depends on, how well have you trained your employees in the organization. How much of transparency have you brought in terms of, driving adoption of any AI tool for that matter? And we have to be, very sensitive to the fact that anything new that you bring in, you have to consider that, that there is a change management element to it. There has to be a proper communication around it. The element of trust deficit happens when there is lack of awareness, when there is lack of communication, when you're not actually, onboarding your leadership, when you're not onboarding your employees. If you're able to explain to them that the purpose with which this particular tool is being brought in is to gather insights, to do data crunching, to do analytics and stuff like that, the decision making is finally going to be taken by humans. I think that gives a lot of confidence. And this holds true for any process. You bring in AI anywhere. I mean, AI can only throw up data with respect to who are your good candidates who need to be interviewed, but the selection has to be done by the team. Similarly, when it comes to managing performances at the workplace, decisions on promotions, they are taken by humans. I mean, so any application of AI, it has to have a human oversight. I always say that the AI tool is like a super boss of an employee. What happens is that in an appraisal process, the manager actually keeps feeding his superior, the reviewing officer, about a particular employee that, this is how he is, this is how he's doing well or he's not doing well. And that man hasn't interacted as much as, that particular manager. So he forms his opinion about, any rewards or any promotions basis what inputs has been fed to him. So, he's been conditioned by that manager in a manner that he starts drawing certain conclusions. Now, there's where HR needs to step in. So, HR has to be playing that role of carrying out, calibration, making sure that, there is proper objectivity applied, there is adequate data, information which is provided, to that manager, so that you come to a fair and a very judicious decision. I think there has to be proper communication, there has to be proper transparency in which, the technology is brought in. There has to be a proper communication around what is the value add the individual employee is going to experience, not just the organization, but the individual employee is going to experience whenever this technology gets implemented or whenever this AI tool gets deployed.
Great answer, sir. Your thoughts here, sir?
I think this entire journey of whether AI or technology which we are talking it's a journey, and it's a relatively new journey. In this course of journey, some mishaps will happen, intentionally or unintentionally. Because we are human, we are bound to make a mistake. And because we are human, we'll learn from the mistakes. So our ability to adapt, learn, unlearn, again relearn would be there. Because technology will grow leaps and bounds, and it's our ability to understand where we have gone wrong during the, like he has given some examples. It's a human who will have to control, and also let's learn to live with it, because yes, something would be happen, as I said, some accidents will be happen, but as long as they are not very disastrous, and that are not a large consequence. So, as I said, we all are in a way, AI discovery is still in a very early stage. We all are like Alice in Wonderland. We will discover as we move along, and we'll keep improvising and we keep working as we go along.
Just going down the rabbit hole, I guess. Ma'am.
Yeah. So the mistrust happens if you do not communicate enough, and also AI can be a bit like a black box. So if you make the logic clear, and in the beginning, we spoke about this AI plus HR rather than AI versus HR. So if you're in control, that this is what my AI is, throwing up as suggestions, but then how am I making my decision? If I am in control and I can explain, that builds trust, among employees. And one more thing I want to say is this: we have to be on our guard is against having biases built into the system, because AI will amplify any bias. Already for news and whether it is fake news or even true bits, we've seen that each of us now see a different bucket of news, because wherever you go to the those sites, etc., by the algorithms only those things will be shown to you. So similarly, any AI process in any organization has to be reviewed very carefully. If you have built in some algorithm, for example, for a selection process, very soon it will learn to throw you only, throw up only one kind of candidates, and you will miss out on diversity. So you have to do this reviewing and be on top of it. That will help.
Sure. Ma'am, because like ma'am said, there could be issues of bias when it comes to AI. So what kind of policy should be implemented for having a responsible AI in an organization?
So I agree that bias can be built in, and the example has been well given. So in particular, when we talk about building upon a policy on such thing, it is important, coming back to the basics, to have an human touch. So to overrule the bias, it is important that what we are feeding in AI will give me the information in which sense I will ask. I'll add on to an example before building on to a policy. So the example is typically one of the recruiter has, ABC key skills have feed in, and basis that particular tier candidates or skill are only coming in. It maybe a biased approach, maybe I say, unless we see the data. So it is important to have a very close human touch by seeing and reanalyzing that what that particular recruiter have added on to the skill. That is it, you know, to particular location, or is it on a particular category? So, you know, the human touch will play a, you know, crucial role in this to add on. Plus, in terms of the policy, it has always been, you know, while taking a decision, how my AI-based inputs are being utilized, keeping my current scenario in mind. That will play a pivotal role.
Sure, the time's up, but I have one final question from all of you, starting with you, sir. What does a successful, sustainable AI human workplace model look like in the next 3 to 5 years? You know, from a manufacturing HR leader's perspective, how do you see this model?
Well, look, I mean, the model is that both have to coexist. The humans have to coexist and the AI also has to coexist. Now, I'll tell you why. Each organization has to be seen from two lenses. There is a rational side of the organization and there is an emotional side of the organization. When you talk about rational side of the organization, these are all around policies, systems, processes, okay? AI will have a bigger role to play in that particular domain. And when you look at the emotional side of the organization, which is all built around care, compassion, relationship, and all of it, I think that is where the humans will have a greater role to play going forward. And let me also say one thing more. Humans will always have a bigger role to play. The emotional side of the organization has a bigger role to play in driving employee engagement, in driving discretionary effort. You know, for the simple reason that we all join organizations taking into account rational considerations. But our decisions to stay long-term in an organization are driven more by emotional considerations and lesser by rational considerations. So that's how this is going to be the future tomorrow.
Wonderful. Quickly, sir, your thoughts?
I think there's no one size fits all. It's all depends on what organization you are in, what's your maturity model of AI or the technology. Let me give out my own example. We are a pharma company. Our maximum employees are our representatives, field force. Where we use AI is more about upskilling them, making them a better representative so that they go and communicate to the doctor. But when they go and meet the doctor, it is the one personal touch which makes them, gives us a business. Finally, relationship is all about human being. No AI, one platform can talk and get you the business. It's about how you deal with the customer complaints relationship. So that's where it comes in, a good blend of use AI where it's essential, and humans are humans and we need human to look after human, and continue with empathy factor, and don't let that dilute and say let AI take over that.
Sure. Great. Ma'am. Quickly, ma'am, in a couple of sentences.
Okay, so two things on how work will change and how the workplaces will become more collaborative, allow for more connections, because as the role of technology keeps getting enhanced, the role of human connect also similarly keeps getting enhanced multiple times. So those touch points are really necessary. Work can happen in a different way, but the workplace will become more and more collaborative and connected. The work itself, we will all be able to do much more, because we talked of this augmentation earlier. We now have great assistants. So we have a thinking assistant. Not only, you know, initially ChatGPT, etc., we thought of, oh, it will generate content, text, audio, video. Very quickly we learned that it even helps us think. So that's what will happen at work.
I think this is just the beginning.
This is just
There'll
the
be many
beginning.
more iterations, versions of
Absolutely.
AI as we move forward.
Exciting times ahead.
Definitely. Final thoughts from your end, ma'am, before we wrap up the session.
So, you know, it's been crafted by the leaders here. Just to add on one point, which I want to say, AI, you know, would certainly have a better collaboration in place, but human will continue to play a critical role in terms of three aspects and parameters. One is emotional intelligence, relationship building, you know, that can never take AI can never take a place. So certain key skills which human will play a key role are these two. In addition to that, I would like to end in by saying, AI's true potential will always be found how it amplifies, the creativity of human.
Great. Thank you so much for those wonderful insights, panelists. Thank you very much. With this, we bring this panel to a close. Thank you very much.